Francisco, one of America's 12 great cities, covering 42 square miles with over 800,000 people living between the Pacific and the Bay. A metropolis crowded upon hills, networked by cable cars that link the shore level with the heights and turn at busy intersections where the force of machinery is replaced by manpower. The cars slide down 45-degree slopes, leaving the western city behind, entering another world, an Oriental community, small in area and long identified with mystery and superstitions. A quaint, colorful tourist mecca with undercurrents of intrigue and violence. San Francisco's Chinatown. On the night of October 10th last, a short distance from the center of Chinatown, on a narrow side street, a young man approached an interior decorating shop owned by a woman named Lisa Marcel.
Hello, Clifford. I expected you sooner. You had no trouble. Darling, I knew you'd get it for me. It's lovely. We should receive a very good price for this. A very good price. By the way, darling, I'm going to Carmel in the morning.
What for?
I have a house to do. An ugly house. But perhaps in Chinese it may get by.
I'll miss you.
You will, Clifford? That's sweet. Yes, I think in Chinese it'll do very nicely. The living room in deep green, with a white vase on the mantel. White jade, perhaps. I saw one at G.L. Wing's this afternoon. It was lovely.
G.L. Wing's?
Yes. Just behind the counter. White jade. You will take care, darling.
Don't I always?
Will you be back tonight, Clifford?
Yes. I'll be back.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now entering one of the most unusual sections in America. A small rectangle of only 20 square blocks, each packed with over 1,000 human beings. The most densely populated area in the United States, San Francisco's Chinatown. For the next half hour, you'll be guided through some of the ornate shops, the intricate passageways and hidden chambers of this curious city within a city. Take it easy, folks. Watch your step. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go. And remember, I don't want any of you getting lost in Chinatown, so keep close together. Just stay in one group and there's nothing to worry about.
Excellent taste, sir. That vase is one of our very best. It is priced at $1,900.
Wrap it, please.
You wish to take it with you, sir?
Of course.
But,
Is there something wrong?
Oh, no, sir. But my father isn't here tonight, and I'm not able to accept so large a check.
Did I ask you to take a check? Go ahead and wrap it. You were closing anyway. Take it easy. There's no hurry. Here, let me help you. Julogi. Awing ganpo, ya yan dagi.
Proceed Chinatown, wing store, robbery. Watch your step, ladies and gentlemen. Watch your step.
Try one from here, holding the counter.
Right.
Any luck?
Nothing so far. Lots of smudges. Couple of clear prints on the register. Probably the kids.
Well, keep at it.
When were the shots?
幾時都爆響啊！
將近11點啦。係咯，我記得咯，我啱啱上緊標鏈嘛。
Just before 11, he remembers because he was winding his clock.
Who are they?
Live upstairs over the shop. They were here when we arrived.
They called the police?
你哋叫錄音啊？
冇啦，
Ask them who did.
邊個叫錄音啊？
我哋唔知。
You don't know, sir.
Okay, check them for motive. The boy's father?
That's right, Captain.
Give you anything?
Just that he thinks he was robbed, but he's not positive. He's too upset now to check.
Yeah. Get anything on the girl, Eddie?
Not much. Her name was Betty Chang. She was engaged to the wing kid. They had a date tonight.
Thanks. Costa.
Yes, sir.
Try and find the merchandise inventory. Check it against our list. See what's missing. And Costa.
Yes, Captain.
You were the first squad car here, weren't you?
That's right.
Who called the police?
I can't seem to find out, Captain. They're scared of cops in Chinatown. I figure whoever found them tipped us off and scrammed.
Yeah. Maybe you're right.
That's fine. Now, what time did you leave the shop tonight, Mr. Wing?
I leave 6 o'clock.
And could you tell us whether you...
Yeah? Yeah. Okay, thanks. I'll tell him. Receiving hospital call. Boy died in the ambulance.
Thanks, Eddie. What about the girl?
Still unconscious. Condition critical. She could recover.
Okay. You better tell the old man that his boy died.
Mr. Wing, your boy.
No. Tell him in Chinese.
Wing 大家，個仔過後啦。
That's the one you wanted.
Oh, yes, Clifford, it is. It is. It's beautiful, isn't it?
You're the expert.
Was it difficult getting it?
No. No trouble at all.
You seem a little nervous. Would you like some brandy or a cup of hot coffee?
No, I'm just tired, that's all. I think I'd better go home.
Good night, darling. I'll be back just as soon as possible.
Good night, Lisa.
On the lower slopes of Telegraph Hill, a half-mile north of Lisa Marcel's shop, the killer walked up the steps leading to a brownstone apartment building at 1164 Greenwich Avenue. As he came down the hall and entered his flat in the rear of the second floor, he felt a sudden chill. For the first time, his self-control was shattered, not by conscience or fear, but by a small parasite which had lived in his bloodstream for nearly 7 years, Plasmodium vivax, a germ of malaria.
What do you want?
I heard a crash. It woke me.
Go back to sleep, Mrs. Dryden.
But you broke something.
I'll clean it up.
I don't want the carpet stained.
The carpet's stained, I'll pay for it.
But Clifford...
I rented this apartment because I wanted privacy. I thought you understood that.
Are you sick, Clifford?
Good night, Mrs. Dryden.
Good night.
At 5:45 a.m., October 11th, nearly 7 hours after the police had first been notified of the Wing robbery and killing, Captain Howard Brown called a conference in his office.
We haven't got much. When the girl comes to, we may get a description. What about fingerprints?
Nothing. Girl's prints on the phone, but they were smudged.
Get anything from the neighbors?
Most of them heard the shots, but nobody saw the killer.
Costa, how'd your inventory come out?
An expensive jade vase is missing and a couple of smaller pieces, all top-grade merchandise. Looks like robbery, all right.
Don't be too certain. Fred, check the relatives, both kids. These Chinese are strong on family stuff. Maybe somebody didn't want them to get married. Maybe somebody was jealous. Bill, get together with ballistics and see what conclusions they can jump to. Costa, I want you to find out who called the police.
Sure. There are only 350,000 phones in the city and 1 million people who could have used any one of them. It's a cinch. Give me 20 minutes to find the right one, will you, Captain? I want time for a little breakfast, too.
That's all, gentlemen.
After working through the night without rest, the weary men started on their morning assignment.
Well, all I know, Sam, is that we got the call from the operator down on the Chinatown switchboard. Came in at 10:52 p.m.
Okay, thanks, Ruth.
Police department.
This building at 743 Washington Street houses the largest Chinese telephone exchange outside the Orient. The girl operators, many of whom have inherited their jobs from their mothers and grandmothers, speak 5 Chinese dialects and know the names and numbers of over 2,000 subscribers, most of whom ask for their party by name alone. The day operators had no information on the call from the Wing store. Perhaps the girl who was on duty at 10:52 p.m. might remember. Her name, Hazel Fong, 618 Waverly Place. The house at this address was one of the few in the area to have survived the San Francisco earthquake of 1906. Lieutenant Costa just wanted to ask a few questions. Did Hazel Fong remember receiving a call from the Wing store last night? Hazel remembered the call well. It had come in just before she went off duty at 11. A girl's voice had said something that sounded like help. Then Hazel heard 2 shots. After that, a man said, "A robbery at Wing store. Call the police." Did she recognize the voice? No. The voice was not one she knew. He spoke Chinese in a Cantonese dialect.
Do you think you'd recognize that voice if you heard it again?
Yes, I think I'd know his voice if I heard it again. Of course, I couldn't be positive.
Thank you very much, Miss Fong. You'll hear from us.
I'll be glad to do anything I can, anything.
"48 hours later, Captain Brown thought he had a lead.
All right. We know this much. Our man's Chinese. He speaks with a Cantonese dialect.
How do we know he was the killer?
The operator heard the girl's voice, 2 shots, then this guy's voice. I'll say he did the shooting.
Check.
Let's go on. The medical examiner says the angle of the bullet indicates he's around 5'9" and right-handed. Ballistics shows he used a Colt .38.
The motive was robbery, pure and simple. I checked the families, and they're on very good terms.
Right. Also, he knows Chinese art. Only the finest jade pieces are missing. Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
I'll add one myself. He's no amateur. He's been able to cover up his tracks thoroughly. We're hunting a professional criminal and a smart one. Okay, boys. Now, all we've got to do is find him.
Here was the killer the police sought. Their description was quite accurate. He was 5 feet 9 inches tall, and he was right-handed.
Now repeat this phrase. Would you kindly direct me to the post office? 郵政局喺邊處啊？郵政局喺邊處啊？郵政局喺邊處啊？郵政局喺邊處啊？
Would you kindly direct me to the post office? Yao Jengu Kaibin Shia. Would you kindly direct me to the post office? Yao Jengu Kaibin Shia.
Captain Brown was also correct in that the suspect spoke Chinese with a Cantonese accent. But the police were wrong in one essential detail. The killer himself was not Chinese.
Would you kindly direct me to the post office? Yao Jengu Kaibin Shia. Would you kindly direct me to the post office? Yao Jengu Kaibin Shia.
This was something new in disguises. Concealment, not by change of physical appearance, nor of dress, but by learning a foreign language.
Now for the expression, I want some information, please. 想問句話你，想問句話你。
The search for the unknown killer now moved into high gear. Squads of police combed the narrow, twisting streets of Chinatown, using the Wing store as the hub of a wheel. Its spokes reaching north and south from Broadway to Sutter, east and west from Kearny to Powell. Criminals were apprehended and questioned. All possible alibis checked and rechecked. Every conceivable tip and lead explored, and dozens of persons were stopped, searched, and taken into custody.
You ain't got no right to.
Suspects were placed in front of a microphone. Hazel Fong, the telephone operator, listened as they repeated,
A robbery at Wing store. Call the police.
Once
more.
One other possible door remained open to the police. One way of identifying the killer. Detective Fred Morgan maintained a constant watch outside Betty Chang's hospital room, hoping she would regain consciousness and give a description of the person who had fired 2 shots into her body during the Wing robbery. A few feet away, Betty's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Liu Chang, kept a different kind of vigil. At 5:15 p.m. on October 14th, their waiting was ended. Now there was no living person who could identify the killer. The door which Morgan had hoped to open was closed by death.
Do you mind if I sit down?
Not at all.
Yes, sir.
Send Morgan and Eddie in.
I wonder if they've got any new animals at the zoo.
Huh?
I promised Jimmy I'd take him there this afternoon.
No?
Just wanted to remind you that Wednesday is my afternoon off.
Don't worry, Costa. I hadn't forgotten.
Good.
In fact, I've already called your wife and told her not to expect you.
You know, that's what I like about you. You're so thoughtful.
Want us, Captain?
Yeah, sit down.
What's up?
I just got back from Chinatown. They aren't happy down there.
Really?
They think we aren't doing anything.
They could be right.
What's more, they're getting a little tired of being rounded up and questioned.
Well, what are we supposed to do? Dream up the guy? We haven't had one suspect that looks even close.
Maybe we've been going at this thing hind end foremost.
Huh?
We don't know what our man looks like.
Agreed.
But we know he stole a jade vase, and we do know what it looks like.
Oh, manhunt into vase hunt.
Here's a photo Wing made for an art magazine layout.
What about other thefts of antiques?
Yeah, that stuff stolen from the shop out in Seacliff. Maybe we can tie it up.
Could be.
No dice. That bandit was a young Mexican.
Well, there was an expensive gold box lifted on Sutter Street a few days ago.
By a stick-up man with an Italian accent.
No tie-up there.
Not unless he has 10 nationalities, including the Chinese. Well, what are you waiting for? A pat on the head?
Well, what do we do with this?
Get a cut made. Run it in every paper in the Bay Area. Ask for any and all information concerning the whereabouts of this vase. If that doesn't work, we'll get out special bulletins. But it'll do for now.
Give it a try.
Yeah. You know, sometimes I wonder how you guys get your pants on in the morning without somebody to help you.
Hello?
Is this Miss Marcel?
Yes, this is she.
Just a moment, please. Carmel is calling.
Oh, yes, operator.
Hello. Miss Marcel? This is Mrs. Langdon, Miss Marcel. I've just had a terrible shock. Yes, the newspaper. You've already seen it? I'm certain it's the same vase.
Well, of course, there is a similarity, but I bought it at auction.
In view of the circumstances, Miss Marcel, I thought I ought to call you before I call the police.
Well, I'd be very happy to call the police for you, Mrs. Langdon. Well, if you insist. Yes. Yes, I guess that would be the smart thing for you to do. Thank you for calling. Goodbye.
Lieutenant Costa.
Master speaking.
118 Drake Lane. Pick up Lisa Marcel.
Gotcha. 118 Drake Lane. Lisa Marcel. We're on our way.
Welcome home, Lisa.
Clifford, why didn't you tell me what happened at the wing store? Why did you let me find it out in the newspapers?
Well, what's the difference? You've sold the vase, haven't you?
Yes, that's just the trouble. Look, that woman in Carmel has already telephoned the police. They'll be here any minute. I've got to get away from here. I've got to.
You're all packed.
Darling, you must understand. We have to separate. I have to leave. It's dangerous for us to be together.
But why, Lisa? Why must we separate?
The police, if they find me here, they'll arrest me.
What would happen if they did?
Oh, Clifford, what are you driving at? What do you mean?
Well, I've never seen you like this before, Lisa. You're frightened. You're really frightened.
Why?
I know what would happen if you were arrested, Lisa. You'd tell them about me. Wouldn't you?
No, Clifford, no.
You're quite right, Lisa. You should go away.
Clifford, what are you... Clifford, put that gun down. Darling, you don't know what you're doing.
Eddie, you go through the alley. Right. Miss Marcel! Miss Marcel! Miss Marcel! Miss Marcel! See anybody?
He was still being here.
Yeah. Lost him.
Yeah. Did you get a squint at him?
A quick one. Funny, he didn't look Chinese to me.
Me either. Come on, let's get back to the station and fix that hand.
Yeah, might as well.
Thank you, Father.
Schmidt, a 62-year-old rubbish collector, made an interesting discovery in the alley between Drake Place and Waverly.
Yes, Captain?
Send Costa in.
Lieutenant Coster, you're wanted in Captain Brown's office.
Where'd you lose that guy last night?
In the alley between Drake Place and Waverly. Why?
This looked familiar?
Yeah. Very.
That's something to start on.
In the garment district, police could get no information, except that the top coat was retailed by several local stores. At one of these, the trail ended. The coat was shown to several clerks in the menswear department. After examining the garment, John Winston, one of the salesmen, remembered selling the coat. But it was a staple item sold for cash, and no record of the customer could be found. Meanwhile, in the police laboratories, ballistics experts carefully analyzed the gun which had been found in the overcoat pocket, dusted the grip and trigger housing for the faintest trace of fingerprints. Technicians reconstructed the serial number, which had been filed away, studied the mark of the barrel striations on the bullet, which had been taken from the body of Lisa Marcel. Upon comparison, the results proved conclusively that the weapon which had killed her had also been used for the murder of Joe Wing and Betty Chang. Detective Morgan was able to trace the gun to a pawn shop, from which it had been stolen nearly 6 months earlier.
All right, so the gun was stolen. And the coats led us up a blind alley. What are we supposed to do now? Who's got a match? Well, what's our next move?
Maybe we should put an ad in the Gazette. You know, found, one top coat, slightly worn. Killer who left same in Chinatown incinerator can claim same. San Francisco police.
Very funny. I suppose you guys think the coat chapter is ended. Well, most coats go to the cleaner once in a while, I think. It's a long shot, Costa. But the only thing you've got to do now is to find out which pants presser put his tag in there.
Me? I thought this was my afternoon off. You know, the one you owe me.
Turn up the killer by noon, and I'll take it under consideration.
Lieutenant Costa began by checking manufacturers of cleaning tabs similar to the one found in the overcoat lining. At the Northern California Tag Company, 2011 Bayshore Highway in the industrial section of South San Francisco, the assistant sales manager recognized the tab as one of their own make. At Costa's request, he referred to the company files and secured a list of the 43 cleaning establishments in the Bay Area who had purchased this kind of tab during the preceding 18 months. Costa carefully noted the names and addresses of the 43 dry cleaners and made himself an itinerary which during the next 2 days took him from the waterfront district along the Embarcadero all the way to Chinatown. By the time he had passed the intersection of Grant Avenue and California Street, he had checked 23 cleaners and dyers off his list. Number 24 was the quality cleaners on Grant Avenue. They, however, used marking ink of a different color from that on the tab which Costa showed them. Number 25 was Sam Chang's Laundry and Cleaning, a block and a half north. Sam Chang marked his tags with a Chinese symbol. So the search continued. Late in the afternoon, Costa reached number 34, a small dry cleaning shop owned by a Scotsman named James McIntosh.
Aye, that's my tab. Then you recognize the coat?
I didn't say that.
Well, you must have some idea who it belongs to.
Well, I didn't say I do, and then again I didn't say I don't. I do. Well, it belongs to a young fella. Dark, kind of thin, but I didn't know his name. He's cash and carry.
Any idea where he lives?
I'm not sure. Could be around the corner on Greenwich Avenue. I think I seen him coming out of Mrs. Dryden's.
How do I get there?
Second house up from the corner.
Thank you.
He seems a nice lad. Has he been up to some mischief?
Yeah, you might call it that.
If you care to leave the coat, I'll be glad to give it to Clifford when he comes in.
I'd rather wait for him if you don't mind, Mrs. Dryden.
You're sure he's expecting you?
I'm pretty sure.
Very well. He should be here in a few minutes. Won't you sit down?
No, thank you. Quite a place.
Oh, yes. Clifford did the decorating himself. He has excellent taste for a young man.
Seems to be a record collector.
I suppose so. Oh, Clifford wouldn't like you to handle those. He's very fussy about his things.
I'll bet he is.
Well, really, I don't think I should allow you to. Young man, I think you'd best leave. I shouldn't like to have to call the police.
Well, what's this?
I'm sure I don't know.
Would you kindly direct me to the post office? Yaojengu Kaibinshia.
Why, that's Clifford's voice.
Would you kindly direct me to the post office? Yaojengu Kaibinshia.
So Clifford likes to study languages. May I use your telephone?
Why, yes, the one in the hall.
Thank you.
Police department.
Hello, get me Captain Brown, please.
Captain Brown.
Hello, Brown. Costa. Well, you phony old hunch player, your long shot came in. Yeah, 1164 Greenwich Avenue.
Well, what do you know?
Yes, Captain.
Dispatch some cars, better make them civilian sedans, to 1164 Greenwich Avenue right away. And snap it up, will you? I'm late for dinner already.
Car 97, a holdup in progress at 1223 Market.
The killer, realizing that the police had staked out the Greenwich Avenue apartment, decided to make a change of address.
I'd like a room. Yes, sir. Have very fine room. Come, I show you.
Is this door locked?
Yes. Oh, yes.
I'll keep this. Good night. I want to sleep.
Okay, boss. Okay.
I like this place. Here. Here's a week in advance.
Thank you. You like this place very much.
working on their first tangible discovery, the wire recording.
All right, Miss Fong, see if you recognize this voice.
Would you kindly direct me to the post office? Yao Jengu Kaibin Shia. Would you kindly direct me to the post office? Yao Jengu Kaibin Shia.
Yes, that's the man. I'm almost positive.
Yes?
Send Morgan and Eddie in. We're going into the recording business.
The recording of the killer's voice was shipped to a record manufacturer in Southern California. Here, the wire was cut, transcribed, and pressed into the wax grooves of several hundred records. A few hours later, the pressings were ready to be air expressed back to Captain Brown's office in San Francisco.
Do you know this man? His name is Clifford Ward, but he may be using an alias. He's about 28, 5 feet 9 inches tall, slender, dark brown hair and eyes. He speaks several languages. Have you heard his voice? Listen.
I want some information, please. Shungman Gaiwane. Shungman Gaiwane.
If you recognize this voice or know a man answering this description, please call the San Francisco police at once.
The records were distributed to a special police detail, who in turn were instructed to distribute them to all persons who might conceivably come in contact with the suspect and recognize his description and voice.
Do you know this man?
Among the groups who listened and tried to identify the voice were telephone girls on all exchanges.
He's about 28.
Waitresses at drive-ins and cafes, bartenders, hostesses, and other restaurant employees.
He speaks several languages. Have you heard his voice? Listen.
I want some information, please. Shungman Gaiwane. Shungman Gaiwane.
Bus operators, cable and streetcar conductors, and taxi drivers all over the Bay Area.
Please call the San Francisco police at once.
Meanwhile, a 24-hour guard was placed outside the apartment building in which the killer had lived at 1164 Greenwich Avenue, on the off chance that he might return for some of his property.
Hey, where do you think you're going?
Delivering a wire.
Yeah? What's it for? This is Emily Dryden, 1164 Greenwich Avenue.
Do you want to sign for it?
Go ahead, switch to on your right.
Who is it?
Telegram.
A moment, please. Yes? Clifford.
Come out here.
What do you want?
Come out here. Open it.
Oh, I haven't the keys with me.
Open it. Go ahead. Sit down.
Come back here, Clifford.
This is my home. You always said to think of it as my home. Sit down. That's better. Now tell me, how do the police know I live here?
I'm not sure. Something about your coat.
Did you call them?
No.
How much do they know about me?
What do you mean?
You gave them a description.
No, not exactly.
And after I leave, you won't tell them I was here.
Oh, no, of course not, Clifford. What are you going to do, Clifford? Clifford!
Shut up!
Oh.
find her all right? Yeah, business is good. She gave me a return wire.
Bad news, you figure?
Maybe. You never know.
You heard me, gentlemen. 1 big week. 7 days, the commissioner said. If we haven't got Clifford Ward behind bars in that time, we can all look forward to an early retirement from public life.
Today was the day I planned to take my kid to the aquarium.
Tough.
Familiar faces? They say we were all fish at one time or another, the same way we were monkeys. Haven't made much progress, have we?
No, we haven't.
Is he usually late?
Who?
Well, whoever it is you're waiting for. I mean, isn't he usually on time?
Please, I'd rather...
I know of a wonderful little place for dinner.
Thank you, but I'm waiting for someone.
It isn't your husband. No, ring.
Do you know if there's a telephone here?
Must you call him?
Yes, I have to.
Not if you don't want to.
I'm sorry, but...
I'm sure you must be a stranger in San Francisco. Who'd know if you went out with another stranger? What harm could it do?
None, I suppose.
We could have dinner and a ride in a cable car. I'll bring you home whenever you like.
Well, I don't usually... Oh, you understand.
I understand, but this is an exception.
It would be, if I went with you.
Well,
all right. I don't like fish anyway.
While the police searched desperately for the killer, he was taking his companion sightseeing on a cable car. They ate lobster at Fisherman's Wharf, visited Golden Gate, the Museum of Art, and at the Palace of the Legion of Honor studied Rodin's classic statue of the thinker. In 5 hours, hundreds of people saw him and the girl, spoke to them and served them food without the slightest thought that here was the man the police were seeking.
Don't tell me you live in this place.
temporarily.
I think I better go home.
Oh, have a drink first.
All right. At least it's local color.
Well, here we are.
This isn't exactly what I'd call the artistic section of San Francisco.
Not exactly.
I like the last place we were. Let's go back there.
Well, we can go back there later.
I don't understand you. Aquariums, art museums, nice little candlelit bars. And then this. You're very inconsistent. Very inconsistent.
Not when you know me bad.
Be careful, you spilled my drink.
I'm sorry. I'll make you another one.
Oh, don't bother. I really should go.
It's no bother.
You're a very paradoxical young man. I've decided that.
Have you?
What's the matter? You all right? You can't handle your liquor very well, can you?
It's not the liquor.
What's wrong with you, then?
I'll be all right in a moment.
I better call a doctor.
No, no.
But you're sick.
Just leave me alone.
Please let me call a doctor.
Would you please go?
Well, I'm only trying to...
Get out.
by a severe attack of malaria, the killer began a frantic search for the missing bottle of Paladrin capsule.
I'm sorry, I can't sell you Paladrin without a prescription.
But I've just had an attack. I may have another.
Well, don't you know a doctor?
There isn't time.
If I can let you have a little quinine.
Yes, but that's no help.
No Paladrin without a prescription.
If I have my doctor call you, would you take care of me?
Yeah, I guess that'd be all right.
What's your number?
Tell him to ask for the Greer Pharmacy on the Chinatown Exchange.
Number, please.
Give me the Greer Pharmacy, please.
What number, sir?
I don't know the number. The Greer Pharmacy.
Yes, sir.
Hurry, please.
Call Captain Brown, Police Department. What's the matter, Hazel? Tell him I think Clifford Ward's in a phone booth on the corner of Grant and Sacramento. Gotcha.
Greer Pharmacy.
This is Dr. A.C. Deaver. A patient of mine was just in your store asking for Paladrin. Would you accept this call as an authorization for a prescription?
Yes. And the dosage? 20 Paladrin, 1 1/2 grain, as directed. Is in his name, Doctor?
Done. Thomas Dunn. He'll be right in to pick it up. Thank you.
At the corner of Grant and Sacramento, Captain. Wait a minute. Hazel wants to talk to you.
I'm not positive, Captain. He said he was a doctor. Yes, Greer Pharmacy. Dr. A.C. Deaver. And he was ordering some drug for a patient named Thomas Dunn. I hope I'm right, Captain.
Thank you.
Yes?
Send the nearest patrol car to the corner of Sacramento and Grant. It may be Clifford Ward. All cars have a complete description.
Yes, sir.
And get a car for me.
Car 9, proceed Sacramento and Grant. It may be Clifford Ward.
It's all ready for you. Mr. Dunn, are you all right? I think you better take some of this right away. I'll get you some water. Mr. Dunn, here's your... Mr. Dunn. Back door. Come on.
The police were already too late. Clifford Ward had slipped away in the gathering crowd. But this had been very close. The druggist still had a complete mental picture of the customer who had so urgently needed Paladrin and had so quickly departed. Yes, he was dark. Dark hair, dark eyes, about 5'9". A nice-looking boy, exactly Mrs. Dryden's description of her missing tenant. Hazel Fong had been right.
Deaver never heard of him, and he doesn't remember ever treating anyone who looks like him.
Our boy must have pulled the name right out of the phone book. He needed that stuff. They only use it in severe cases.
So he's had an attack of malaria. What good'll that do us? He'll get well. Guys like him always do.
But not for a couple of days. He'll stay put that long, but maybe that'll be long enough.
For what?
For us. I've been checking with the medics. The way he was feeling, he couldn't have walked more than 2 blocks to the drugstore and back to wherever he started from.
Well, that narrows it down.
Right down to this. You know what he looks like. You've heard his voice. You know where he is within a couple of blocks, where he'll be for the next 12 to 24 hours. You've only been given 4 or 5 buildings apiece, but don't let that make you think it's going to be easy. There may be as many as a couple of 100 people in any one of them. You'll be making the rounds as census takers. You've got identification to prove it. Ward may be living alone. He may be living with Chinese. He may be hiding somewhere. We don't know. If you find him, don't try to take him yourself. Anybody. He's sick, but he's a killer. So report. Well, that's it. Oh, one thing more. If you don't get an answer someplace, keep pounding on the door. Do something to make them open up. If you still can't rouse anybody, make a note of the address and we'll go back. Well, you've got 24 hours.
Captain Brown's census takers covered each block, building by building. Each building, door by door. In one of these places, a killer was hiding. The special detail moved carefully through the streets of Chinatown, listening to every voice, asking questions over and over until it was early evening, and policewoman Martha Anderson approached the right door.
Thank you. Is there anybody in here?
Maybe yes, maybe no.
Thanks. Anybody home? It's the United States Census taker. Good afternoon.
What do you want?
A few questions for the census.
Make it short.
I'll do my best. Your name?
Carl Wilcox.
You live alone? Age?
28.
Single? Occupation?
Unemployed.
I guess that's all. Thanks. Sorry to have disturbed you. There's another room. I almost missed it. I don't want San Francisco to lose population on account of me.
Who's there?
I'm the census taker. I'd like to ask a few questions. How many people live here?
Shortly before midnight, while Clifford Ward slept, a police dragnet was set in motion by the report of policewoman Martha Anderson. Methodically, Captain Brown's forces began to surround the rooming house in the heart of Chinatown.
5 minutes.
be up here.
Right. I'll take the far side. Let's get on. You cover the roof. Come here. Let's go. You know, Custer?
Yeah?
You don't have to come in until noon tomorrow.
Fine.
Unless something important comes up.
A few minutes past midnight on November 3rd, 20 days after the killer had entered a Chinatown shop, the San Francisco police ended the case of Clifford Ward.